You know, Brian,
Yes.
I've heard you're a man of champagne taste.
Oh, really?
You like the finer things. That's what I've heard about you.
Okay.
And you're going out to dinner and kind of sometimes being forced to pick up half the check.
Yeah.
Even
It's
though
true.
they do that California thing where they split it in half instead of person by person, which doesn't make.
But that's the classy thing to do, man.
Man, I don't think
You
so.
know? Just trying to be classy here.
Listen, well, we're in the right spot because we have a guitar here of yours.
Yeah.
That is worth somewhere between $5,000 and $20,000.
I don't think it's 20, but.
but what is it? We don't know. We'll find out.
Well, so we do know. We know that it is a 1999 OM model Santa Cruz.
Okay.
I know because the serial number that it dates to 99. I've owned it since 2001.
Heard you got a screaming deal.
I did. I got a really good deal. The guy that I bought it from owned like 15 or 20 of these things. Not the same guitar, but a lot of Santa Cruz. He sort of had a Santa Cruz addiction, and his wife said enough and told him he needed to get rid of a few guitars, and he wanted to go to a good home. Yeah, I feel like at the time I was like 19,
Wow.
you know. So
Yeah.
I mean, like I didn't have a lot of money, so it cost me a lot in 2001. I think
Sure.
I paid like $1,600, $1,700. That was like
In
probably
2001, that
the
was
most I paid for a guitar.
Yeah, with inflation, that was like $100,000 back then.
Pretty much like
yeah,
100 or 200,000.
Yeah, 100 or 200,000,
depending on how your measure of inflation, your preferred
Yep.
of CPI or core minus
Man, listen.
food and energy.
Listen to you. That's pretty good.
Food, energy, and guitars.
But so this is Santa Cruz. It's all hand built stuff
In Santa Cruz.
in like Northern California. Is that technically Northern California? I guess.
Yeah, that's Northern California. That's
Okay.
where I went to
All right.
college.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we go.
So it was kind of like bringing it home. I was in college at the time.
I see. All right.
At UC Santa Cruz. And so it was kind of like bringing the guitar back to where it was born.
I love it. I want to hear this because this is like the best sounding acoustic guitar I've ever heard. So this video is sponsored by Sweetwater, and they have provided the microphone that we are going to use to do some sound examples with this, and why a guitar, like getting a hand-built custom guitar could be worth it, and just like kind of the differences between maybe something that's like mass marketed. So AEA has sent over a ribbon microphone, the R84a, I believe it is.
Active, yeah.
Active ribbon microphone. My thing with ribbon microphones is like I don't want to accidentally hit phantom power and destroy them.
Right, but this one you have to.
Yes.
Yeah. So you need it's sort of. I believe it has sort of an active boost in it, so that way you get a little bit more signal to noise, right? So it's not as noisy as a typical ribbon, and you don't have to boost your preamp as much. Ribbons are usually like really hungry,
Right.
in terms of like they need a lot of gain. You need a high gain preamp. This one seems to be just working fine, which is sort of a standard preamp with phantom power, so that's kind of nice.
That's right. So we are in Brian's studio today doing this. Brian is a video game composer. Just released a new one, Callisto Protocol. You can see the playlist, link in the description.
Sweet.
So we're just going to do it right. It comes with a nice little cozy, kind of caddy that you can drop it in. But we got a couple projects we're working on, so we're going to hear the glory of the Santa Cruz. What a $20,000 guitar. It's probably more like $5,000. We don't know that it's not worth $20,000.
I don't think it's worth $20,000.
If this is Brazilian rosewood, we emailed them. We're going to find out what it's actually
We're going to
made
find
out
out
of.
what the wood that they made it out of, because they made it out of a few different woods, and depending on the wood, you know, like there's one on Reverb out of Brazilian rosewood, same year, 99. Someone's trying to get 20,000. That doesn't mean they will get 20,000. We know how Reverb works.
That's right, we do. But yeah,
I know what I got.
I know what I got.
We
don't
know what we got.
Couldn't let it go for less than 19.
We don't. That's why we emailed them.
That's right.
We'll hit you up in another video, and we'll.
But I also needed the 20,000 thing for the thumbnail, you know, and the hope, the genuine hope that maybe that's it.
Yeah,
it's worth $20,000.
It's worth $20,000. I don't think so, but maybe. Maybe
See,
it's some weird random illegal wood that they no longer
I love it.
from a forest that doesn't exist anymore, and
It's sad. It's a piece of history right here. So here's what $20,000 might sound like. All right, so now we're tracking it. Basically, I'm just gonna do some open chords first, let it ring out. Because what was Adam saying? Like the sustain, like causes its own overtones to ring out. I'll do it again. Like, that is kind of crazy because, like, they're kind of jumping on each other at the end there. Stain's really great. But yeah, anyways, I'll just do kind of like a, minute of stuff. Cool. So now we're going to have Brian doing some outlaw bluegrass country with it, so you can hear how it sounds in a mix. Because one of the cool things about having a ribbon is it definitely has a different sound of how it's going to sit in a mix, because it has all that information that an acoustic guitar really needs to kind of fit in a bigger production. So I'm going to give it to the master next. So I'm just going to slow jam it while Brian gives us his final thoughts. You actually hold that upside down.
Oh, yeah. So, thoughts on the AEA R84a.
Let's hear it.
I really like the active component of it because you don't have to give it as much gain. So it really kind of just works. Like, it would definitely work with your sort of your basic audio interface, that you had for your DAW, so anything you got, you could plug and play. Normally with a lot of ribbons, you need something with quite a bit of gain and not a lot of noise, because the ribbons can be noisy themselves. Couple pro tips for working with this. This is based on an R44. I'm not a big mic history buff, but that's an important microphone in history. There's some really cool information in the manual and on their website, kind of about the history. I don't want to screw that up, but it's very interesting. Most importantly, though, as far as recording with this, is that you know that it is a figure 8 pattern. So if you're used to working with only like cardioid patterns where it's very directional, like sort of a typical vocal mic, or an omnidirectional mic, this is a little bit different, so it picks up stuff in front and behind. So you're going to want to pay attention to how you're miking stuff. You can actually do some cool room miking techniques with a figure 8 microphone. The other thing that you want to know about this mic is that the proximity effect is massive. So the manual says, about 3 feet away, 3 feet of distance from the source is going to give you a flat sort of low end response. That's pretty far, especially for an instrument like an acoustic guitar. So we're rolling off a lot of low end when we record this. We're about
we're doing it right here.
18 inches is what that is about, maybe a little bit more. Massive proximity effect. Sean can insert kind of the graphic of that right there, so you can see that, and then you can see kind of how that pulls back as you pull back with distance. So again, super great mic for room recording and things like that. If you do get a little bit closer, you do want to kind of make sure you're aware of the figure 8 and the proximity effect. You can of course use like a tilt EQ or just a low shelf to kind of clean that up. That's what I'm doing with this guitar, and it sounds fantastic. The other thing you want to do is just add a little bit of air on top, because again, if you look at the graph, the roll off kind of starts around 16. So if you want to just add a little bit of that air back in to get that sparkle, it's no problem. Sounds fantastic.
Proximity effect isn't always a bad thing.
No, proximity effect can be great. So if you got a thin vocal or something like that, a super thin vocalist that sort of doesn't have a lot of nice chest, low mid presence, this can be an awesome mic, to work with. Maybe if you had a vocalist that was really, really husky, this wouldn't sort of be your first go-to, because you'd probably be fighting that proximity.
Right.
But definitely, yeah, you can play with proximity on any instrument. You can play with proximity to kind of give yourself a little bit of extra boost.
Absolutely. Well, very cool. Well, so you think it sounds like a $20,000 guitar?
I think yes.
You could think
$20,000 sold.
Perfect.
Right? You gotta write me the check.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for helping us out. Do that. Like I said, check out his music in the link below. Go to Sweetwater, get yourself some gear. I've never seen anything come with like a case like this. Very interesting. Like, there we go. Now I'm ready to just peace out. Sling it around my shoulder.
Good to go.
And off we go.